Hello everyone, it is April 1st, 2017, Saturday, April Fool's Day. No, I'm not going to do any silly April Fool's things on you guys. Just the straight dope, what we got going on. And we do have something very interesting that broke yesterday. I saw it first, I kind of let it go to see if anyone else would pick up on it. Now it has been reported throughout, pretty much throughout the media. So this is apparently something that is true. It's officially on Fox's website, so if they put it up on their website, we can assume it's fairly well true. And what we're learning from Fox News today, here on day 29 of TowerGate, is that Fox News is reporting that they now have the name of at least one official, Obama administration senior intelligence official, who is one of several people who they believe unmasked. In fact, they actually know this person for a fact. Senior Obama intelligence official was one of the individuals who was responsible for unmasking. He's very well known, and he's very high up, and he is not FBI. So we can assume he's either intelligence or within the, maybe possibly at the Justice Department. But he's not with the FBI. It's also stating on Fox's website that this individual is saying that this entire operation goes back to the campaign even before Donald Trump won the election. So just as I've been saying all along, when I say it was a Clinton operation, we at least ways now know that this was going on during the campaign prior to the vote. So it wasn't just what they're looking at now, which was these past 3 months after the election leading up to the inauguration. This source from Fox is stating that the House Intel Committee chairman, that would be Devin Nunes, is now aware of the name of at least one person, a senior Obama administration official, high up, very well known, that was responsible for the masking. They expect there may be other people. They know this person's name. They know who he is. And so that is a major break. And so Nunes has this information. It's not a secret anymore who this person is. And the fact that this was done, according to Fox News, was done to embarrass President Trump, and it had nothing to do with intelligence, Russian hacking, or anything to do with Russia. Excuse me. This was just simply a political operation to embarrass Trump, which is what I've been saying all along, was that this was a political operation, but I believe it was originated with the Clintons' campaign and eventually moved into the White House. Now, Fox isn't reporting that. I'm reporting that. That I believe it started as a Clinton operation, and this is just more proof of that. So, there is a major break right there. Fox News reporting that this individual who unmasked some of these names. They know who he is. And that means that they'll be putting pressure on this person. But apparently this person is pretty high up. A very well-known senior official in the Obama administration, a senior intel official who is not FBI. So this is a very interesting development. And being as how this is a Saturday, I imagine this started showing up yesterday late afternoon after I'd done my video. And I kind of sat on it, looked at it for a while, looked at it again this morning, and now it's everywhere. So I'm sure most of you already know this by now. But anyway, this is a major breaking development. Nunes has a name. So I imagine tomorrow on the Sunday morning programs we'll figure out what the talking points are going to be. And then I imagine next week we should be hearing a lot more about this, because they're certainly going to be pressing Fox News is whoever this was, their reporter. They're going to be pressing him pretty hard, and it'll be very interesting to see how Sean Spicer reacts to this, because if Nunes knows, it's very likely that Trump and people close to him in the White House know. So things are definitely shaping up. Let's see here. Oh yes, next topic. Farkas, as I said when I put out my video 2 days ago and told you about Evelyn Farkas, I suggested that she should keep her mouth shut and lawyer up. But someone obviously told her to go out and walk back her statements. I did a video yesterday where I suggested that she did not do a very good job. She didn't do a very good job of walking anything back. In fact, she looked kind of nervous and like she was trying to cover her butt, which is what she was trying to do. It didn't work out. She should have taken my advice. She should not have gone back on TV and said anything. She should have shut up and lawyered up. She did not. She got some bad advice and she took it. And I think she'll pay dearly for that, because I think she actually did herself more harm than good. Let's see. Next thing. Yeah, I was going to mention this a couple days ago, but the videos were getting kind of long. But even before I knew about this most recent finding that Nunes now knows the name of at least one person who unmasked Trump and other people around him, unmasked their names in this political operation to embarrass Trump. Even before all that, I was thinking that, you know, Adam Schiff and the left-wing media and a lot of the Democrats who've been calling for Nunes to step down, putting all kind of pressure on him, going after him. You know, I'm thinking to myself, you know, this is a pretty bold or stupid move on behalf of the Democrats and other people, because, you know, if Nunes really does, if he really did see some really good information that could unravel this whole thing, and if he really does have this information and these sources, and he really does have solid evidence, why would you want to push him and make him mad? You know, because all you're doing is motivating Nunes to really want to dig into this thing and really go after people. So, you know, ticking off the guy who's got the evidence on you is not a very smart move, but that's what they've been doing. Now, maybe they didn't think he had anything, or maybe they have no choice but to stay on this particular line, this particular track. But all they're really doing, you can tell, is really frustrating Nunes. So when he does get information, which it appears he now does have, and when he does have good solid intel that can't be disputed and is factual and is legit, he's probably not going to pull any punches whatsoever. And he's probably not going to share a lot of this stuff. And now that he's been put in this position, he's probably going to sit on most of this stuff as long as he can until these hearings start, and then maybe he'll feed other people what they want them to have. So pissing off Nunes was not a very good idea, especially if he's got the goods on you. I think that again, is just another bad play on the Democrats' part that will backfire. So we'll see if that pans out. Let's see. Oh, yes, for all those of you who thought that the April Fool's joke about Comey being fired and Trey Gowdy becoming FBI director, it is Saturday, it's April 1st, and it appears that has not happened. And again, I thought that was a 1% chance or less of that actually being true, that it was probably April Fool's joke. And that appears to be the case. Doesn't appear that Comey's going anywhere yet or now. He may be going somewhere later when they find out what he knew and when he knew it. But at this time, it doesn't look like the story of Trey Gowdy taking over for FBI Director Comey is true. It looks like it's a false story, which I believed it was in the first place. Another thing that's going on. It's funny, Putin appeared at a conference a day or two ago, and he was asked about whether or not they're intervening in the elections. Of course, he certainly would not admit to that, even if they were, and I'm sure that they do meddle in things here domestically in our politics, as we do in theirs. But it was funny because Putin came out and said, no, read my lips, no. It should also be noted that the Russian parliament has now pretty much gotten sick of this whole game that's being run on them, that they're being blamed for hacking the election and all this. So now the Russian parliament has taken this up, and I assume that they're going to come out with some sort of a joint statement and probably wanting an apology or something. And believe me, when this whole thing shakes out, especially with what we've learned about the fact that CrowdStrike is now doubting their own findings, if it all comes out at the end that there was no Russian meddling in the election, there was no Russian hacking, not only are the Democrats going to have egg on their face because they ran this false narrative, not only are they going to look bad because the evidence is going to come out that proves it was a political operation running against the Trump administration right out of the Oval Office, probably also with the Clinton campaign. Not only is that going to be politically very, very damaging to Democrats in general, and probably going to ruin Obama's legacy. Don't think he'll go to jail. People will fall on the sword for him. But heads are probably going to roll. It's going to turn out very bad for the Democrats. They are going to have a lot of egg on their face. But in addition to all that, they may have to come out and make a joint apology to the Russians. That would be even more hilarious. Okay, what else? Yeah, kind of on a non-related topic, but just something I noticed. I did a video a couple weeks ago, and I said when I saw Perez was made head of the DNC, I said, well, that's Hillary's guy. They're obviously going to run Hillary again in 2020. And then, of course, this past week, they fired a lot of people at the DNC, got rid of a lot of people. They cleaned house. Essentially, those were anti-Clinton, pro-Bernie people that they cleaned house on. They wanted to get rid of those people. So it is very obvious to me now that Hillary is going to be running in 2020 unless she has a health issue or something else. But yes, that looks like the way it's lining up right now. And I watched a speech that Hillary gave, I guess it was a day or two ago. It was horrible. And what's fascinating about it is that you can tell that she's already kind of in campaign mode for 2020. And you can see the approach that she's taking is the exact same failed approach that she used in 2016. She's playing the same themes, playing to the same group. She's obviously playing to women. And it's just, you know, she's clueless and she doesn't look good. I mean, she looks like she looks like a drunken old woman who drank herself to sleep, and then somebody got her up, threw her in the shower, threw some makeup on her, and put her out there in front of a microphone. She looks kind of like she had a hard night of drinking the night before. She looks kind of drugged up. She looks clueless. And what's just amazing is that the speech that she was giving was basically talking about how women are not treated fairly, they don't get a fair shake, blah, 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 blah. This was like an awards ceremony for women that she was speaking at. But it's just kind of funny because Hillary Clinton, we all know that she talks about how the human rights abuses against women and this and that and the other thing. When Hillary Clinton took massive amounts, millions and millions of dollars, not just personally from her and her husband, and of course Obama and just about everyone takes money from the Saudis, but a lot of money flowed through the Clinton Foundation from Saudi Arabia, probably the #1 violator in the world of women's rights, where Hillary is in bed with the Saudis is about as close as you can get, takes all their money, will never ever say a thing to them, and would absolutely never, under any circumstances, give the speech in Saudi Arabia that she gave a day or two ago here in the States. She would never give that speech in Saudi Arabia. Never, never, never. So what a fraud she is. It's just absolutely amazing that they are going to run her again in 2020. I'm not so sure she wins the primary. I'm really not. I mean, I know that they have the superdelegate system. I know they will take out a lot of her opponents early, make sure they don't even get in. Cuomo is probably going to be her #1 biggest challenger. And he's kind of a hard-headed guy, and I don't know if he'll back down for Hillary or not. We'll find out. But anyway, it just, you know, it's just, for those of you who don't believe me that they're actually going to run Hillary again, I promise you they are. The only thing that will stop her again is a health issue. So anyway, that is Saturday, day 29 of TowerGate, April the 1st, 2017. Big breaking news story today. Nunes does have the name of at least one of the person who unmasked Trump and his associates. That person's very well known, very high up. He's a senior intel officer. He is not from the FBI. And the entire operation was nothing to do with Russia. It was totally about embarrassing Trump and doing him harm during the election season, even prior to when he won the presidency. But of course, the information that Nunes has looked at recently is, of course, logs of things that were happening after Trump was elected and leading up to the inauguration. So this just proves everything I've been saying, that this goes back to way before the last 3 months. It had been going on, I think, since late winter, early spring of 2016 is when I can track most of it, because that's when a lot of the New York Times stories started coming out. I believe their first story came out in January, and then it was piggybacked by a bunch of other people, The Guardian and other people like that. And then, of course, more and more of these stories about Trump being under surveillance. These were obviously stories that were leaked to the New York Times, or someone in the Clinton administration saying, hey, we want you to write this story. Write this story. In other words, the New York Times probably never had this intelligence or information at all. This was stuff that was being fed to them from the Clinton campaign team. And it very well could have been this Evelyn Farkas. She could very well have been the operative that was the in-between, who may have been, she was kind of like the Judith Miller of the Bush administration, leaking stuff, things being leaked into the New York Times by the Bush administration, and then they would go out and comment on it. So this looks like the same type of operation which was going on during the Obama administration and the Clinton campaign, which is that they would have someone give information to the New York Times, say, hey, write this story, this headline, Trump's being surveilled, ties to Russia, blah, blah, blah. And they plant the story that way, then they can go out on the campaign trail and comment on it. They comment on the story that they fed the New York Times. And we see this happen all the time. And it was pretty obvious that this is what was happening. And it went on all throughout the summer. The reason that it really never really gained much traction until after the election was over was simply because Hillary Clinton, stories about her were capping the headlines. She had 2 criminal FBI investigations going on, the email thing. You still had a lot of questions about Benghazi. You had the Clinton Foundation stuff that was coming to the surface. You had Hillary's health issues collapsing at the 9/11 ceremony. There was just so many negative stories that were gaining much more attention and much more attraction for media headlines, that this stuff really wasn't noticed too much. It's only now when we go back and look through the archives that we see all these stories that were out there. They just weren't gaining traction. And of course, once the campaign was over and this operation moved into the White House, and there was no anti-Hillary stuff or Hillary stories to occupy the topic of conversation, it all became about Trump and his association with the Russians, or his alleged association with Russians, people around him's alleged associations with Russians, and all this sort of thing. So anyway, this is where we are, and I imagine that this is the fact that Fox News would put this on their website and go public with it. I'm very surprised at that. Unless maybe Nunes wanted that to happen, or maybe the Trump administration wants that to happen. Maybe they want this stuff to play out more into the media. Maybe that's what they want to do. I would think that Nunes would not want that, but because now, next week they're going to be besieged by reporters every day wanting to know, since this is being reported, who that name is. They're going to be digging and digging and digging. And when you get right down to it, it's a pretty small list. We're talking about very well-known, very high-up senior intel official. I mean, that only leaves, that's a handful of people. You don't have to ask too many questions or do too much digging around to figure out who that might be. So I don't know. It's not FBI. It might be State Department. Could be from one of the intel agencies. But anyway, a lot of people will be asking that question next week. It'll be interesting to watch how that plays out. So that looks like what's going on today. It's Saturday, day 28, TowerGate. If anything else breaks later in the day, I'll be back with another video. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow on Sunday. After the Sunday morning programs, I'll be watching those, and that's where we'll learn what the talking points will be for the following week. So we'll have some better ideas on maybe where this is going to go this week. But it's certainly moving along. And so you guys have a good day. Enjoy your Saturday. And we'll be back tomorrow. Y'all take care. Bye.